Let me speak plainly to you, trader to trader, because I've lived through every one of the mistakes you're making now, and the worst of them, the one that nearly destroyed me more times than I'd like to admit, was revenge trading. You think it's a matter of discipline. You think it's a matter of strategy. You think it's just because you're emotional, or because you had a bad day, or because the market surprised you. But no, it's far deeper than that. Revenge trading is a betrayal of your own self-respect. And every time you do it, you are trying to settle a score with the market, when the market doesn't even know your name. You see, in my earlier years, before I became the man Wall Street feared and studied, I believed the same lies you believe today. I thought the market owed me something. I thought if the market took money from me unjustly, I had to take it back, immediately and with interest. But the market is not a person. It is not your enemy. It is not your rival. It is not your abusive ex. It is not the bully at school who finally needs to be taught a lesson. The market is a mirror, a perfect mirror of your greatest weaknesses. And when you lose, when your plan breaks, when a setup fails, the first thing the mirror shows you is not the mistake, but your ego. That little voice in your head that tells you, you can't let that loss stand. Get it back. You're smarter than that. Just one more trade. Look how quickly you can recover. You're better than this. Prove it. That is the voice you listen to when you revenge trade. Not your plan, not your rules, not your experience, not your intellect, not your training, not the hours you spent backtesting, not the confidence you gained from watching my earlier lessons, the ones where I told you about timing, patience, and why even a perfect strategy cannot save the undisciplined trader. No, when you revenge trade, you listen to the weakest version of yourself. And that, my friend, is why you cannot stop. Because you have not yet learned to silence the part of you that wants revenge more than it wants success. Let me tell you something from my experience. The market is never wrong, but your interpretation of it often is. Every major loss I ever took, and there were many, happened when I let my emotions overtake my judgment. And when I lost control of my emotions, I wanted to fight. I wanted to claw back the money the market had stolen from me. I wanted to punish it for daring to move against me. But the market doesn't feel pain, only you do. You might think your revenge trade is just another entry, a quick scalp, a fast recovery. A little over-leverage just this once. But deep down you know exactly what it is, a desperate attempt to protect your ego from acknowledging that you were wrong. If you truly understood the market, if you truly respected the market, you would accept your losses the same way you accept your wins, with a clear mind and a steady heart. You've heard me say this before, in my lessons about trusting your plan. Confidence is not loud. Confidence is not emotional. Confidence is not reactive. Confidence is quiet and built over time. It is built in solitude, in discipline, in reflection, in the moments when no one is watching and you choose the harder path because you know it is the right one. Revenge trading is the opposite of confidence. It is reactive. It is emotional. It is impulsive. It is the behavior of a trader who does not yet know himself. And that is the real problem you are facing. You are not fighting the market. You are fighting your own lack of self-control. Let me take you back for a moment. Years ago, I lost millions, not because the market was difficult, but because I wanted to be right more than I wanted to be profitable. I became reckless. I traded out of frustration, anger, impatience, embarrassment, all the emotions I eventually warned the public about in my writings. And every time, without fail, the same pattern unfolded. A small loss turned into a medium loss, which turned into a large loss, which turned into a disaster. And I know the pattern in your trading life is no different. You may hide it from others, but you cannot hide it from yourself. A stop loss gets hit, you say, that shouldn't have happened. You re-enter. No signal, no structure, no edge, just emotion. The next loss hits harder. You double size. You widen stops. You take trades you wouldn't normally take. You justify everything. You lie to yourself. You chase the loss until the market finally teaches you a lesson through force. And afterward, when the damage is done, when the day is ruined, when the account is bleeding, you sit there staring at your chart with shame rising in your chest, saying the same thing every revenge trader says. Why did I do that again? I know the answer. Because no one ever told you this truth. You are addicted to feeling in control, Revenge trading gives you the illusion of taking back control, even though you are losing it with every click. The moment you revenge trade, you are no longer trading the market, you are trading your emotions. Listen carefully. You cannot stop revenge trading until you learn to accept the loss the moment it happens. Not an hour later, not after you recover it, not after you've blown the day. Acceptance is the antidote to revenge. Not strategy, not indicators, not more backtesting, not chart patterns, not risk management alone. Acceptance. That is why in my previous lessons I told you, understand yourself before you try to understand the market. Plan your trade and trade your plan. Trust your timing. Do not fight the tape. Because every one of those lessons was meant to lead you to this one. You cannot stop revenge trading until you stop believing you can outfight the market. You can only outthink it, outweight it, out-discipline it. This is the first step in breaking the cycle, not the last. Now let me take you deeper, because knowing why you revenge trade is only the beginning. If knowledge alone could save a trader, the markets would be filled with millionaires. But it takes more than knowing. It takes understanding. And understanding only comes when you examine yourself with the same precision you use to examine a chart. What you must realize is this: revenge trading is not about the loss you took. It is about the identity you attached to that loss. A beginner thinks a loss means they are bad at trading. An arrogant trader thinks a loss means the market is wrong. A fearful trader thinks a loss means disaster. A revenge trader thinks a loss is an attack that must be answered. But a professional, a true professional, understands that a loss is simply the price of doing business, no more, no less. And this, right here, is where most traders fail. You see, you have created an identity around being a good trader, and every loss feels like a threat to that identity. You don't trade to execute your plan, you trade to protect your self-image. And when that image is wounded, you fight. You don't treat the market like a business, you treat it like a battlefield. But the market is not a war. Wars end. Markets do not. If you try to fight a never-ending opponent, you will exhaust yourself long before the market even notices you exist. I learned this the hard way when I was young and stubborn. I would lose a trade and feel a fire in my chest, a need to strike back, to show the market it had embarrassed the wrong man. I had the skill. I had the instincts, but I lacked the humility. Humility is the most expensive lesson Wall Street can teach, and most traders learn it only after losing far more than they ever intended. But let me share something I learned after decades of trading. Revenge trading is often a sign that you entered the market for the wrong reason in the first place. You think you entered because of a setup, but deep down you entered because you wanted action. You wanted excitement. You wanted the rush. You wanted the comfort of feeling in the game. A trader who enters out of boredom will revenge trade out of desperation. A trader who enters out of fear will revenge trade out of panic. A trader who enters out of ego will revenge trade out of pride. But a trader who enters out of discipline, that one never revenge trades, because he never feels the need to. Let me remind you of something I said in one of my earlier lessons, the one many of you keep replaying. The market rewards patience far more than brilliance. Revenge trading is impatience wearing the mask of confidence. Now let me ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly. When you revenge trade, what is the emotion behind it? Is it anger? Fear? Shame? Embarrassment? The urge to prove something? You see, most traders never take the time to identify the emotion behind their decision. They just act, and action without awareness is gambling. Here is what I eventually learned. Every revenge trader is trying to erase a feeling, not a loss. A $50 loss doesn't ruin you. A $500 loss doesn't ruin you. A $5,000 loss doesn't ruin you, not if you have discipline. What ruins you is the story you tell yourself about that loss. You say, I should have known better. I'm smarter than this. I knew the market would do that. I can't believe I messed up again. This shouldn't have happened to me. Those stories hurt far more than the loss itself. So you trade not to win, but to rewrite the story. But the market does not care about your story. The market does not reward emotional attempts at redemption. The market only rewards correct behavior. Listen closely. The moment you try to fix a loss through emotion, you stop trading and start dreaming. and dreams in the market become nightmares for anyone who does not wake up quickly. Now let me share an experience from my own trading career. There was a day, one of the darkest in my early years, when I took a loss that shocked me. Not because of the amount, but because it was a trade I was certain about. Absolutely certain. I believed the market had to move in my direction. When it didn't, I was stunned. Instead of stepping back, I immediately placed another trade, twice the size. That will show it, I thought. That will put things back in line. That will erase this nonsense. It didn't. The second trade failed. The third failed worse. The fourth was outright stupid. And the fifth marked the moment I realized the market wasn't the enemy. I was. I lost more in those 4 hours than I had made the entire month, and at the end of it I sat there, alone, drained, angry, and I understood the most important lesson I ever learned. A trader who seeks revenge has already lost the war inside himself. You cannot conquer the market until you conquer your reactions to it. That is the real battlefield, not the chart. If you want to break the cycle, you must understand something that would have saved me years of pain had I learned it sooner. Your first loss is your best loss if you accept it immediately. But if you fight it, if you deny it, if you chase it, if you try to repair it, if you take it personally, then that first loss becomes a seed that grows into madness. And every revenge trader I have ever known, including the man I once was, made the same mistake. They thought the loss hurt because of money. No. The loss hurt because it exposed the truth about their discipline. And instead of accepting that truth, they ran from it. Let me tie this to the teachings you already heard in my other videos, because all of those lessons were building toward this. One in the video about confidence. I told you that confidence comes from respecting your own rules. Revenge trading is the ultimate act of disrespect. In the video about trusting your plan, I told you that breaking your plan even once is enough to shatter your psychological foundation. Revenge trading is the hammer that destroys that foundation completely. In the video about timing, I explained that the market has cycles, rhythms, currents. Revenge trading blinds you to them because you no longer trade the market. You trade your frustration. And in the video about losing, even with a solid strategy, I showed you that the problem is rarely the strategy itself, but your inability to execute it under emotional pressure. Revenge trading is the peak of that inability. Everything I have taught you before leads to this. Until you understand why you seek revenge, you will never master yourself. And until you master yourself, you will never master the market. The market does not punish traders. Traders punish themselves through their reactions. Now that you understand the psychology behind the cycle, I will teach you how to break it in a practical and actionable way, the way I eventually did. If you've made it this far with me, then you're ready for the truth most traders never reach. I've shown you the psychology behind your revenge trading. I've shown you the ego, the identity, the emotional storms beneath your decisions. But now we step into something far more important, the solution. Understand this. You do not break the habit of revenge trading by trying to be stronger. Strength is unreliable. Willpower is fleeting. Emotion will always overpower logic when caught off guard. No. What breaks the cycle is structure. A structure so firm, so clear, so practiced, that even when your emotions scream, your actions remain steady. Now listen closely, because this is the same structure I built for myself when I nearly destroyed my career through impulsive trading and emotional decisions. This structure rescued me, and if you take it seriously, it will rescue you too. 1. You must pre-decide the terms of your defeat. Every trader talks about planning their winners. Few plan their losses. But the professional, the trader who survives, plans both. When I walk into the market, I already know the exact conditions under which I will walk away. I know my limits before the first trade is placed. I know the number of losses I will tolerate in a day. I know the amount of drawdown I will allow myself. I know precisely when the battle is no longer worth fighting, and once those limits are reached, I am done. No negotiation, no second guessing, no argument. Here's the rule that changed everything for me. Decide your exit rules when you are calm, so you never trust your judgment when you are emotional. Revenge traders make decisions in the moment. Professionals make decisions long before the moment arrives. You cannot trust your emotions during a loss. They are designed to protect you, not guide you. Fear and anger are prehistoric instincts. They helped our ancestors survive animals, not markets. They help you run from danger, not interpret data. So what do? You remove emotional decision-making completely. Pre-plan, pre-decide, pre-limit, and then follow the rules as if your life depends on it. Mine did. The moment I set daily loss limits and honored them, my blow-ups disappeared. My drain spirals vanished. Revenge trading lost its oxygen. When I hit my limit, I leave. Not because I want to, but because the version of me who made the rule was wiser than the version of me who wants to break it, too. You must break the belief that you can make it back immediately. Let me tell you something that took years of pain to understand. The desire to make it back right away is the single most destructive belief in a trader's entire psychological system. It is the belief that causes you to size up. It is the belief that causes you to skip confirmations. It is the belief that causes you to widen stops, ignore structure, and violate your own process. This belief is poison. You do not become profitable by recovering losses quickly. You become profitable by stopping losses from growing. The moment you accept that recovering a loss may take a day, a week, or even longer, you immediately eliminate the urgency that fuels revenge trading. Urgency is your enemy. Urgency makes you believe that your next trade must erase your mistake. Urgency creates tunnel vision. Urgency blinds you to what the market is actually doing. I cannot count how many times traders approached me, asking for advice after blowing their accounts. And when I asked them what happened, their stories were always identical. I just wanted to make it back quickly. Let me tell you the truth no one wants to admit. The fastest way to recover a loss is to stop trading when you're emotional. Because emotional trading never recovers anything. It only multiplies the damage. The moment you remove urgency, the moment you stop trying to win back your losses instantly, the moment you accept that trading is a long game, revenge trading loses its hold on you. 3. You must build distance between the loss and your next decision. Distance saved my life. Distance saved my career. Distance is the antidote to impulsiveness. When I lose, I do not immediately react. I do not jump back in. I do not chase the price. I do not try to recover. I step away. Sometimes for minutes. Sometimes for hours. Sometimes for the entire day. And when I do this, something remarkable happens. My mind resets. My ego resets. My logic returns. My emotions settle. My judgment is clear. A trader who creates distance is a trader who regains power. But you, right now, probably do the opposite. You take a loss and you react. You click again. You take another trade. Your breathing changes. Your heart rate rises. Your screen becomes your battlefield. Your chair becomes your arena. You go from trader to fighter, and fighters lose in the market. Distance is not a weakness. Distance is a strategy. Distance gives your brain time to switch from emotion back to logic. Distance gives your plan a chance to reassert control. Distance exposes the stupidity of the revenge trade before you take it. If you had waited even 5 minutes after your last loss, you would have avoided 90% of the damage you've done in your trading career. Think about that. 4. You must remove the idea that the market owes you anything. The market does not owe you a win. The market does not owe you recovery. The market does not owe you a bounce, a reversal, or a pullback. You must understand this deeply. A loss does not create a debt that the market must repay. It creates a debt you owe to yourself, the debt of discipline. And if you fail to pay that debt, the market will collect it for you with interest. Every revenge trader believes, in some small way, that the market wronged them, that the loss was unfair, that they deserve compensation. But the market is not a person. It has no memory. It has no emotion. It does not attack. It does not apologize. It does not repay. The moment you stop personalizing the market, you stop trying to punish it. You stop trying to challenge it. You stop trying to force outcomes. You stop trying to demand justice. And the moment you stop doing those things, revenge trading loses its meaning. 5. You must adopt a rule that all professional traders eventually learn. Your job is not to win today. It is to stay in the game long enough to win over time. The market will always be here tomorrow, but you may not be if you destroy your account today. Revenge trading happens because you think the outcome of the day is more important than the outcome of your career. But let me tell you something few traders ever realize until it's too late. You do not need to win today. You need to be alive tomorrow. When you understand that, when you truly understand it, your mindset shifts from urgency to patience, from emotional reaction to strategic thought, from fighting the market to flowing with it. When you stop needing to win today, revenge trading becomes impossible because revenge is a short-term emotion and professionals think long-term. And now that I've shown you the structure, the mental framework that breaks the cycle, in the next session, I will show you the transformation itself, how to turn the death spiral of revenge trading into the disciplined mindset of a professional market operator. Now we come to the heart of the matter, the transformation. It's one thing to understand why you revenge trade. It's another to understand how to prevent it. But neither of those things matter unless you become the kind of trader who simply cannot revenge trade anymore, not because you force yourself, but because the person you've become makes the behavior impossible. There is a version of you, a disciplined, calm, calculating, patient operator who exists on the other side of this struggle. I met that version of myself after decades of making and losing fortunes. And I will tell you this honestly. The man I eventually became could no longer recognize the boy who chased losses, who fought the tape, who battled the market like it was a rival instead of a landscape. The market did not change. I did. And if you allow it, you will change as well. Let me guide you through that transformation step by step. Step 1. You must start seeing the market as neutral, not adversarial. The greatest shift in my trading life came the moment I stopped treating the market like an opponent and started treating it like a weatherman treats the sky. A weatherman doesn't get angry at the rain. He doesn't revenge forecast a sunny day. He doesn't fight the storm. He observes. He interprets. He adapts. The moment I adopted this mindset, revenge trading lost its fuel. When you stop hating the market, you stop fighting it. When you stop fighting it, you stop forcing trades. When you stop forcing trades, you stop creating emotional wounds. And when you stop creating emotional wounds, the impulse to get back at it disappears. Look at your charts not as enemies, but as natural events. The tide rises, the tide falls, the wind shifts, the storm forms, the storm passes. There is no revenge in nature, only movement. This shift alone can heal half the psychological wounds you carry. Step 2. You must learn the art of observational detachment. This is something I never spoke of publicly during my lifetime, but it was the skill that separated me from the crowd. When I studied the market, I did not study it emotionally. I studied it like a scientist studies a specimen, with distance, curiosity, and neutrality. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means perspective. Imagine watching yourself trade from a balcony above your desk. Imagine observing your reactions without being controlled by them. Imagine seeing your impulses as if they belonged to someone else. When you do this, even in your imagination, something remarkable happens. Your ego fades, your fear weakens, your anger dissolves, your clarity strengthens. This is why so many traders make better decisions when they walk away from the desk and study their trades retrospectively. The distance gives them the detachment they cannot achieve in the moment, but the professional learns to create that detachment while trading. This is not a skill you learn overnight. This is a discipline you cultivate daily. But once you possess it, revenge trading becomes psychologically impossible because revenge requires attachment. And detachment dissolves attachment like salt in water. Step 3. You must elevate your identity as a trader. This is the part most traders never understand. To stop revenge trading, you must become the kind of trader who simply does not do it, not shouldn't do it, not tries not to do it, not hopes not to do it, cannot do it. Why? Because it no longer fits who you are. You see, your trading behavior is always consistent with the identity you hold. If you see yourself as a struggling trader, you will act like one. If you see yourself as a gambler, you will behave like one. If you see yourself as a victim of the market, you will seek revenge against it. But if you see it yourself as a professional, not in fantasy but in truth, then emotional actions become incompatible with your self-image. A professional trader's identity sounds like this: I follow my rules because they define my career. I do not react emotionally to the market. I trade probabilities, not feelings. I never take trades outside my plan. I protect my capital as if my life depends on it. This identity creates a foundation that revenge trading cannot sit on. You are not fighting your impulses. You are outgrowing them. This is why in my videos, the ones about confidence, timing, trusting your plan, I spoke in such detail about who you must become, not just what you must do. Winners are not built on actions. Winners are built on identity. When your identity changes, your behavior follows automatically. Step 4. You must practice emotional recovery the same way you practice technical analysis. Most traders practice charts. Most traders practice patterns. Most traders practice indicators. Most traders practice entries and exits. Almost no trader practices emotional control. Yet emotional control is the skill that determines whether you keep your profits or give them back. You must train your emotional responses the same way you train your technical skills. When you take a loss, pause, not to reset the chart, but to reset your mind. Ask yourself, what emotion is trying to run the next decision? Is this emotion aligned with my plan? What would the professional version of me do here? Do I want to trade or do I want to fix something? These questions force your brain to switch out of instinct and into reasoning. You cannot stop the emotional spike after a loss. You can only delay your response long enough for your rational mind to take over. That delay is what saves accounts. That delay is what saves careers. That delay is what stops revenge trades before they start. The trader who pauses wins. The trader who reacts loses. Every single time. Step 5. You must adopt the rule that saved my life. When I don't feel in control, I do not trade. This rule ended my revenge trading once and for all, because revenge trading only happens when you feel out of control, when the loss shakes you, when pride stings, when uncertainty clouds the mind, when frustration pushes you forward. But I learned to recognize these signals early: heavy breathing, tight chest, quickened pulse, frantic thoughts, the urge to click without thinking. And when I felt them, I stopped immediately. Not because I was disciplined, but because I knew something most traders never realize. Any trade taken in emotional turbulence has zero edge, even if the setup is real. Your mental state is part of the setup. If your mind is compromised, the trade is compromised. It took me years to learn this. I hope it takes you minutes. When you refuse to trade while emotionally unstable, you break the chain reaction that leads to revenge trading. You end the cycle before it begins. Step 6. You must understand the ultimate truth about the market. You do not beat the market. You survive it long enough to extract a living from it. The market is not something you conquer. It is something you navigate. The wind changes. The tide shifts. The storms hit without warning. The calm arrives just as unexpectedly. Your job is not to dominate the market. Your job is to stay afloat. Revenge trading sinks ships. Discipline keeps them sailing. Your entire trading career depends on understanding this one fact. You are not here to win every battle. You are here to survive every battle, so you can win the war over time. Revenge trading is the illusion of strength. Discipline is the reality of power. The trader who chooses discipline wins. The trader who chooses emotion loses. In the end, in the long run, and often catastrophically, the transformation begins the moment you decide that revenge trading is beneath you, not wrong, not something you're working on, not something you're trying to fix, beneath you. Professionals do not revenge trade, not because they are perfect, but because they have outgrown the emotional immaturity that fuels that behavior. You are capable of the same transformation. And when that transformation happens, when you truly become the disciplined operator, everything changes. Your losses shrink. Your wins become cleaner. Your patience grows sharper. Your confidence stabilizes. Your account stops bleeding. Your mind becomes quieter. Your decisions become calmer. Your trading begins to feel like mastery instead of chaos. And with time, you no longer recognize the person who once chased losses in desperation. You become the trader you once admired. You become the trader you were meant to be. Now it's up to you. You have the knowledge. You understand why revenge trading has controlled you, and you've seen the exact steps to break free. However, knowing is not enough. It is action that separates the successful trader from the frustrated one. So here is what I want you to do next. Review your trades from this week. Identify every instance where emotion took control. Write down exactly how you could have acted differently and create rules for yourself that are non-negotiable. If you take these lessons seriously, you will stop revenge trading. You will reclaim control. You will start trading not with fear or anger, but with confidence, patience, and clarity. And remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video, and like it to reach more traders. This is just one of the many lessons you need to master to succeed in the market. Your journey doesn't end here. The difference between the trader you are today and the trader you're meant to become is just one decision. So take action now.